Overnight on the South today, professional firefighters across New Zealand walk off the job for an hour in an unprecedented move. A new Dunedin brewery hopes to make enough noise to compete with the tried and true options in town. And after a few years of darting around other venues, ID Dunedin Fashion Week is going back home. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Hannah Wilkins. Professional firefighters across the country walked off the job for an hour from 11 a.m. today. Those in the Southern District followed suit across the region, something which has never happened before.
Walking off the job for the first time in their careers. Members of the New Zealand Professional Firefighters Union walked out of stations across the country at 11 a.m. this morning.
In my 36 years I never thought I'd be doing it, and all the firefighters I've talked to, none of them are happy doing it.
NZPFU Dunedin Local Secretary Mark Leonard says crews walked far enough away not to be tempted to return to their stations. He also apologised to the public.
The public have to know that we don't do this lightly. It goes against every fibre in your body to actually walk off when you're providing a service like this.
Firefighters in Christchurch also left their positions.
I hope that this will be enough of a motivation for Fire and Emergency New Zealand to take our concern seriously, to sit down with us and have a conversation with us with some meaningful solutions.
The Firefighters Union says it's not about money, but more about equipment, consultation, staffing levels and more, which they say needs to be addressed by FENZ. Another hour-long strike is scheduled for next Friday, with the union giving notice yesterday of 2 further stoppages to take place in September. Across the South today.
Meanwhile, extra fire trucks had to double down on a blaze in Concord yesterday after an out-of-action hydrant left them low on water. Fire crews were called to a fire in leftover forestry wood, otherwise known as slash, in the Dunedin suburb of Concord. Fire and Emergency New Zealand say 4 fire trucks from Lookout Point and Wakariri stations attended. Crews were unable to connect to a nearby fire hydrant in Emerson Street, which meant 4 trucks were needed rather than 2. The Dunedin City Council says the fire hydrant was out of service yesterday while work was carried out on parts of the water network. One of Dunedin's up-and-coming breweries has opened a new tap room near the heart of the city. After 5 years of brewing to supply other venues, the Noisy Beer Company is now selling beer by the glassful directly to its customers.
Clearly a stout man. A new taproom has just opened up in central Dunedin. In a wordplay on his surname, the bar's owner, Chris Noy, has called his brewery the Noisy Beer Company. He and his partner started out with a small brewery in Kaikorai Valley about 5 years ago, and this is his first foray into being open to the public and selling beer by the glass. To keep things interesting for both himself and his customers, he's planning to regularly change the types of beer on offer.
We don't really have a core range of 5 or 6 beers that are always available. We're kind of making something new every week.
The tap room is on Anzac Avenue, and to keep things easy, the bar's food is made right next door.
The kind of core menu we have is actually provided by the guys at Ironic next door, so we're pretty lucky and pretty stoked to have them doing the food for us.
The Noisy Brewing Company's tap room is open from Thursday to Saturday, plus Sunday afternoons. In Dunedin, the South today.
Police say they have a major lead in identifying ram raiders who smashed their way into a dairy south of Christchurch this morning. 3 offenders, 2 males wearing hoodies and face masks, and an unmasked young woman were involved in the raid on a dairy in Lincoln at about 5:30 a.m. Vaping products and cash were stolen. It was just one of several ram raids across Christchurch overnight. Vehicles were smashed in at a food mart in Hallswell, along with a store in Brindwa and a Prebbleton dairy. One shop owner described the ram raids as heartbreaking. The ID Dunedin Fashion Show is returning to its former stomping ground next year. After around 5 years of moving around other venues, including Dunedin's Town Hall and the Otago Museum, those behind one of the city's flagship events say it is time to come home on April the 1st next year.
Organisers say moving ID Dunedin Fashion Week back to the railway station is not a long-running April Fool's joke.
It's no laughing matter, darling.
But after about 5 years at other venues, ID Dunedin Fashion Week 2023 will be again based around the city's historic railway station. The co-chairs of Dunedin ID Fashion Week say the railway station has been beloved by ID fans for many years.
Well, we've always wanted to come back here, and we didn't think we could because we've got all the building going on, but we pleaded with the Dunedin City Council.
In 2017, on a return trip to the city, former Dunedin modelling twins Nellie and Elsa Jenkins were sad the 2018 events were moving away from the iconic venue.
Yeah, it's quite shocking. I mean, it's one of Dunedin's most iconic kind of shows and country's most iconic shows, definitely. Absolutely. I mean, it's very well known across the globe.
The Dunedin City Council and Otago Polytech are supporting the 2023 event, with organisers looking forward to welcoming further sponsors on board.
We have put together a sponsorship package. Now that we've got a date, of course we can be out there now speaking to people who might be interested in offering sponsorship.
Applications to take part in ID Dunedin 2023 close in October, while emerging designers have until the end of November to put their best feet forward. In Dunedin, the South Today.
FA Yakane. Still to come on the South Today. A house mooted to be 1/3 of a kilometre long is off the cards for a developer near Wanaka after too much red tape. And recycling plastic bottles in Gore could be making a comeback.
Evening, I'm from the Parks Department. Have you got a permit for that fire?
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Brace yourself for a cold snap and get down to My Mate John's for his snap sale. Only at John's Furniture Warehouse, Stafford Street, and online at mymatejohn.co.nz.
And My Mate John.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life. Every day the team at Gillian supports grieving families at their time of need, from answering your questions to organising a farewell that reflects the wishes of your loved one. We can help. Call Gillian's today.
Tinakwe, welcome back. The plans by PayPal founder and tech billionaire Peter Thiel to build a large lodge overlooking Lake Wanaka has been rejected. A Queenstown Lakes District Council Independent Resource Consent Panel has decided the luxury house would be too visible from the Glendhu Bay walking track. The lodge would have measured 10 times the size of typical suburban homes and been 1/3 of a kilometre long. But the panel says it would have been inappropriately dominant in the outstanding natural landscape and the design details lacked clarity. Peter Teal bought the land in 2015 for a reported $13.5 million. A Queenstown Volunteer Fire Brigade member has a challenge ahead of herself as tomorrow Tanya Stone will compete in the annual Sky Tower Challenge in Auckland. On the climb she'll be carrying breathing apparatus weighing about 25 kilos, so about the same as an oversized suitcase or half her body weight.
Training for a cause close to her heart, Queenstown volunteer firefighter Tanya Stone has been preparing and getting fit for the Firefighter Sky Tower Challenge, which is due to be held in Auckland this Saturday. The event isn't just about stair climbing. Stone, who weighs 50 kilograms, has to tackle the challenge in full firefighting kit, including the breathing apparatus, adding another 25 kgs to her load.
We will be racing up the stairs of the Sky Tower. It's 51 flights, which is 1,103 steps.
The annual event supports the Leukemia and Blood Cancer New Zealand charity, which Stone has personal connections to. Her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2021, while her father has prostate cancer and auntie is battling leukemia. 33-year-old Stone qualified as a firefighter in May, after 8 months of training and study. She loves a fitness challenge and admits once she gets a challenge in her head, it's hard to shake.
And I don't know anyone who hasn't been touched by cancer in one way or another, so it's nice to be able to fundraise for something that people are really suffering from.
Stone is already close to reaching her personal fundraising goal of $1,500 and is planning to pace herself this weekend at the big event to conquer the Tall Stair Challenge. In Queenstown, The South Today.
Plastic bottle recycling in Gore might not be far from a reality again. Recycling in the Gore district has been limited to just glass after a deal with the Invercargill City Council broke down in 2020. The local council has now decided to work towards reinstating a full recycling service. It will enter into discussions with the Invercargill City Council to see if a new recycling collaboration can be agreed on. Once that happens, costs for a potential recycling service can be calculated and a proposal can go out for public consultation. Tourism businesses at Fox Glacier have been hit twice. First with the road to the glacier being permanently closed and then with COVID-19 closing the country's borders. But the return of a rare bird to the surrounding forests may give ecotourism a much needed boost.
Bouncing back from the downturn, the tourist township of Fox Glacier has been badly affected by the absence of overseas tourists due to closed borders, as well as a massive landslide permanently blocking the road access to the glacier itself. However, Marius Bron of Fox Glacier Guiding says they're now seeing a slow trickle of tourists returning to the area.
It's been challenging, transitioning back to busier times and being able to hold stock, and everyone's sort of transitioning and getting the head round a busier business again.
The government spent nearly $4 million from its tourist levy fund upgrading tracks to try and encourage visitors to return to the area. And following an extensive program of trapping and poisoning predators, the forests around Fox Glacier are now stocked with New Zealand's rarest kiwi. Hatched from spare eggs harvested from the wild, the Okarito kiwi, also called roe, are being released at Okarito as well as Fox Glacier.
They've been spotted, more than 10 kilometres radius from the drop zones. It's pretty exciting really to see them spread out.
Night tours to spot the kiwi in the wild are already being done on a small scale at nearby Okarito. And more kiwi spotting eco-tourist ventures are possible for Fox Glacier in the future. In Fox Glacier, The South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on The South Today. Professional firefighters walked off the job for an hour in an unprecedented move up and down the country. The Noisy Beer Company hope their newly opened tap room can compete with the rest in the heart of Dunedin. And after 5 years on the move, ID Dunedin Fashion Week is going back home to the railway station on April 1st. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, and we welcome the editor, Barry Stewart. Kia ora, Barry.
Hello, Hannah.
What's in the weekend paper?
What's in the paper? Well, the Lake Onslow Water Project, which is the storage facility, which, well, that's ticked 6 important boxes set by the government, so it looks as though that's on train to happen. And they may even use it continuously throughout the year as opposed to just in the dry months. So, so quite impressed with that. Less than half of Otago pupils regularly attended school in the first term.
Wow.
As a result of illness and COVID, etc. I mean,
in.
those numbers have been out there nationwide, and Otago actually performs pretty well, but still not great, is it, by looking at those numbers. We'll have updates on the flooding in the far north and Nelson and the west coast, of course, and some good news on the COVID front. Lowest in the south since mid-February, and 17 in hospital in the south, which is still not great, but those numbers seem to be dropping a little bit.
Heading in the right direction.
Big weekend mix for your weekend reading, and lots of sports action happening, local finals, etc.
Oh, we look forward to reading all that in tomorrow's paper.
Okay.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
And time now for a look at the weather.
The South Today weather, proudly brought to you by MoleMap, the skin cancer detection specialists.
Looking at the situation, a changeable weekend ahead as fronts and troughs arrive from the Tasman Sea, bringing showery periods. Heading to the top of the South Island. Rain clearing up here for Nelson after an absolute battering the last few days. Expect 17 degrees as the high. Greymouth will still get a few showers tomorrow with westerlies and 15. Also 15 in Christchurch, where it'll be a cloudy day with light winds. Travelling to South Canterbury and North Otago. Light easterlies with some cloud all the way through here. Ashburton, Timaru and Iwamaru are all in for 16 degrees tomorrow. Westwards now to the Central Lakes, and it's looking like a mostly fine day with westerlies. Wanaka and Alex can expect a high of 15, while over in Queenstown it'll be a nice 14 degrees. Heading further south, freshening nor'westerlies before a late sou'westerly change in places here tomorrow. Numbers wise, 15 for Balclutha and the Catlins, and even warmer over on the coast with a high of 16. Now down to the deep south. Mostly fine tonight in Invercargill with a low of 10 degrees. Tomorrow looks like a cloudy one with nor'west winds and late showers as the cold sou'westerly comes through. Expect a high of 15. Into Sunday, fine to start with more showers and cold gusty sou'westerlies in the afternoon, warming up to 14 degrees. And lastly, heading to Dunedin. Showers tonight with nor'easterlies and a low of 9 degrees. Cloudy tomorrow with light winds and a high of 16. And rounding off the weekend, Sunday looks overcast with showers, a north to southwest wind change partway through the day, and up to 15 degrees as the high. And that's the news this Friday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Matua.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.